Today I would like to talk to you a little bit about the beginning days of Barney. A group of people came up with an idea and developed a series that now is the #1 most watched children's television program on PBS. And along the way I invited Dennis DeShazer and Kathy Parker to join me. And we developed what is today known as Barney and the Backyard Gang.
Barney and the Backyard Gang released its first and originally intended only home videos in 1988 and 1989. I have numerous videos on this channel speaking on the history and stories of these tapes that'll all be linked in the description. However, we won't be speaking entirely on that today. I want to talk about Barney and his design. Growing up, I attended a daycare every day outside of weekends, and this included after school. At this daycare, there were many VHS tapes lined up together on the bookshelf, and with only the color of the tapes being visible. From experience, we became very in tune with the Barney tapes all being the color white, as would be the standard in the years following. There must have been close to 30 of them. However, there was one Barney tape that was black for whatever reason. The label still containing the Barney home video symbol, but reading 3 wishes. I remember the times in which this tape would be put in and being absolutely horrified.
Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and when he's tall, he's what we call a dinosaur sensation. Barney! He's back!
Just scared. Not even in a "this is a monster" sort of situation, but more in a "what have they done to my friend" situation. Keep in mind, I was a very young child with no concept of time. I didn't know when this was made. All I knew was Barney the bright purple dinosaur. This Barney. At the time, internet access was not so accessible, to say the least, so research was not even a question. So when I saw this, it felt like a parody.
We're as happy as can be, with a great big hug and a kiss from me to you. Won't you say you love me too? Hi, kids!
I could not understand it. Who did this? How were they allowed to do this? This isn't Barney. It actually took a couple of years for me to eventually warm up to this different Barney. After a while, I became more and more intrigued, to the point that I'd ask to borrow the tape to watch at home and just play it again and again and again. It was so weird because even despite it not looking like the Barney I knew on the surface, the essence of Barney was still there.
It's okay, Tina. Oh, Tina.
When Barney, the first 3 shows, Barney was a true purple, and under the cameras, we didn't know that. He kind of went blue. So he looked much more blue than was the intention, and he was more angular.
Yeah, he's blue.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And you can see his
square.
nose is quite square.
Very square.
And his head is a little less rounded and
a
soft.
turquoise dot on his back?
Well, no, that's actually green. Bad
Oh,
turquoise.
see?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's green.
Everything encompassing created issues for production. These tapes would often use a blue screen effect. In 1988, it wasn't the most fine-tuned practice just yet, and also with Barney's colors as they are, you can already guess how that turned out. The performer inside would see through a large opening at the base of Barney's tongue, meaning that when the mouth is closed, the world goes pitch black. You can oftentimes see the kids holding Barney's limp arm and safely guiding him across the set. At the time, Barney was puppeted akin to Big Bird from Sesame Street, one arm in the arm, one arm in the mouth, or high up to blink the eyes. Very loudly.
But I like animals, especially the kind you can play with.
Because of the rigid material, you almost never see Barney doing any large jumps or leaps into the air, and one wrong move, it seemed, could have been enough for him to completely fall apart. Even just walking at times seemed to be somewhat of an issue. He was that primitive.
The funny thing about that particular costume, which I don't think you ever said, that costume was made out of foam.
Yeah.
And it was like on the outside, and it was basically just painted on the outside. It's very rough. So hugging him right there and rubbing your face, it was almost like sandpaper. And I imagine it was really hot inside, but that that costume, the ones they came out with later on were super nice, and they were the kind of the felt on the outside.
Yes.
Much nicer to touch and hug and for the kids and all that. But
Yeah, the costume developed a lot over the years, and that would have been David Voss, by the way.
That would have been David Voss
in
yes.
the costume.
Yes.
All this together created an imagining of this character that many today would have a hard time believing when looking back. In a way, he strangely felt more gentle. No overexcitement, no super giddy laughs, but a walking teddy bear, which, of course, was essentially the entire point. I realize now that growing up, and even to this day, I really just wanted to understand him.
It's an old pirate ship, just like in the storybooks. I'm scared.
There's nothing to be afraid of. It's only make-believe.
And make-believe can't hurt you.
Right.
But the pirate ship sure looks real.
Let's go down and get a closer look.
What makes this iteration of Barney so special to me is the team's commitment to him, even after his tenure. He would only feature in these first 3 tapes as, again, the Lions Group, the franchise's creators, weren't sure if the series would take off. At the end of 3 Wishes, they would even add text to the screen reading "The End" before the credits roll. This was shown on only the first printings of this tape and would be removed from all future re-releases after the series would be picked back up, making those original prints extremely rare. This was meant to be the end of Barney's story. When it came back, Barney received a redesign to straighten out any elements that could have appeared frightening to kids and give him a fluffier voice.
Hi, Derek. I'm glad to meet you.
But they'd still show that first iteration in the new intro.
Derek is in Barney's club and Adam has a ticket, but Mom has never seen him 'cause she doesn't know our secret.
That first Barney having those 3 tapes to then be redesigned entirely only adds credence to those tapes being in their own world. Despite containing the same cast of characters, the feel and tone of those stories were unlike anything that succeeded them. Almost as though they were set in an entirely different universe, where Barney looked and behaved differently than what we all knew. Barney ended up becoming popular in the Texas area, Texas being where Barney was filmed, and you could often find him at birthday parties, sing-along events, schools, and hospitals.
It wasn't a typical morning at Children's Medical Center of Dallas. After all, how often is it that you awaken to find a purple dinosaur waving at you? This is Barney, the star of the hit children's video Barney and the Backyard Gang. Today it was Barney and the Hospital Gang. Some of these children will spend Christmas in the hospital. Barney's on a mission to bring Christmas to them. He's visiting 4 hospitals in Dallas and Fort Worth.
Even after being redesigned multiple times, this Barney would still be brought out to different occasions if no other costume were available. What's crazy to think about is that for years and years and years, those first home videos were all we had as proof that this Barney existed. No videos floating around, no images, just the footage here.
The initial marketing strategy, give the tapes away for free. Where? Preschools. Why? Cheryl needed to answer 3 questions. Would the schools play it? Would the kids like it? Would the parents buy it? The answers, yes, yes, yes.
So it was that behind-the-scenes marketing. It wasn't starting at the top and trickling down with the marketing. It was starting at the bottom, at the actual child, and then building from the ground up.
But over time, and as the Barney fan community grew, cast and production started to come out, giving their experiences. People would post online about having met Barney in the 80s, and unearthed images would be brought into the world. And once this happened, it became very quickly apparent just how primitive this Barney truly was. He wasn't meant to hold up longer than those first videos, and just about any time you'd see him outside of them, he'd appear more and more deteriorated. Yet, they still used him. It didn't matter what Barney looked like. It was the heart inside. Kids didn't particularly care that he looked horrible. They just wanted to see their friend. His essence was still there. To this day, we're still finding new photos and video of Barney that have never been seen before. And anytime it happens, it feels like discovering a stone that's yet to be documented.
Goodbye, Tina. Remember, I'm always here. And if you need something special, all you have to do is make a wish, and I'll be there.
I know, Barney. That's why you're so special. Love you.
Love you too.
The first Barney is so mysterious and elusive. The costume was destroyed sometime in the early 90s as it would become too much of a hassle to keep around, especially with how the brand took off. The new information we've been receiving on this Barney is so incredibly important, as Barney finally has a place online to call home. The fan community has been endlessly dedicated to documenting his history. Andrew Olson even has a series showing his quest to find the original Barney plush used in those first tapes, as only one was made and seems to still be lost over 35 years later. That's how serious the loss of Barney's history really is.
Pretending is fun, Mom, but we sure miss our make-believe friends when they're gone.
Well, sweetheart, they're not gone. They're always with you. You know when your real friends have to go home? Well, your make-believe friends will always be around for you to play with. They're both important.
Barney's history is a book, and for many years it laid with pages upon pages left blank. But now, they're finally being filled in. A Day at the Beach, The Backyard Show, and 3 Wishes were stepping stones, roots, a time that should never be forgotten. Everyone has a Barney, and everyone's Barney looks different, and that's what makes him special. Barney is a dinosaur from our imagination, and no matter the appearance, his presence is always felt. Friends are forever, whenever they're make-believe.
Bye, I'll miss you. And every time I see the moon up in the sky, I'll wave to you. Bye. Bye.
Oh, okay. Surprise! Oh, no, wait. Surprise! No, wait. Surprise! Oh,
Hi, my name's Jessica Marie Zucha. I played Tina on Barney and the Backyard Gang for many years. I want to send a special shout out to all of our fans. Thanks for loving Barney and the Backyard Gang, singing along, and never forgetting imagination can take you anywhere.
What imagination?
And you're watching Hedge on Stage, all aboard the Rainbow Line.
Gotcha.
Barney's history is a book, and for many years it laid with pages upon pages left blank. But now, they're finally being... Oh my gosh. Barney's history is a book. Oh my god. Barney's history is a book. Oh my gosh. It's a book, dude. I'm kind of scared. But now, they're finally being filled in. Oh.